the foundation that was established, I mean, you're on target. Their annual goal was $5 million. And some of these things I've been studying today, so if I get it wrong, forgive me a little bit. But I think their goal was $5 million. Remember the kind of money we're talking about in the gap here. $5 million doesn't solve our problem. You know, and that's a foundation goal. That's not necessarily an annual support. That's a one-time foundation gift support of the program. This would take tens of millions of dollars over the long haul to do that. So that's what I'm talking about, a gap and not the big donor support. I mean, Roddy and that group, I mean, they're fantastic alums in this university and, you know, the program. So I don't want to take away from any of that, but it just, the gap is still so large after that dust settles on something like that. Who else?
So all this is about money. Not only are they losing money from getting rid of the football team by playing teams like Mississippi State and Division I, which means all our basketball team, beautiful Bartow Arena over there, it's never going to be full. Like the games with North Carolina and Memphis that we always pack out, now we're going to be playing Samford, Jacksonville State, teams like that. How do they expect to make money on those kind of games?
I don't know if you were here when we first started, 16, which that takes...
But you're losing 3 teams. How's one team going to...
Because that meets the requirement for Division I athletics. The number of sports, men's and women's sports, adding that sport, we have to add a men's sport. We drop football. So men's track and field is the sport for 15-16. Now, we've already talked to the conference. We're a charter member of Conference USA. One of the things that the conference says is that you have to have a football program. We've already talked to them about this issue and what's going to happen and asking for an exception to that. I think Conference USA is very important to this university and staying in that level of competition. So.
Do they have an idea of where we go when we get dropped into it?
There is discussions with other conferences, but that's not on the table right now because the plan is to stay in Conference USA. Again, we're hoping the fact that we're a charter member, we were involved when a lot of the conference alignment took place 3 or 4 years ago. UAB hung in there with Conference USA. It really did. So, I mean, there's a lot of allegiance both ways, is what we're hearing.
Hey, I'm no business major, but I believe in investments. They might make it out in the positive financially and, you know, get a good enough team, we could be a championship team, you know? So, like, what happened with the stadium in 2002? It didn't happen. In 2006, Jimbo Fisher didn't happen. Which leads me to my next point, like the UA Board of Trustees, can you talk to us a little bit about that? Like, how much are they throttling us? Like, how much money are they giving us compared to how much they're giving the UA?
I like what you're wearing a Packer shirt when you talk about investments.
Household.
I asked the question early on, was this with the board decision, a university decision, and I was told it was a university decision all the way. It was the president and the athletic department making this decision all the way, based on what they felt was an insurmountable budget situation. And you might look long term, and that was part of the report, is that you're right. We all look at this as an investment in growing a university like UAB. The feeling was that there was so much distance between where we are and where we would need to be able to survive with Division I football that it couldn't happen.
Right, I understand it's a university decision, but giving us to help us out, because it seems like they kind of like wipe their hands clean of us. Like, but couldn't they give us a little bit more money to help us out with the program? Something.
Well,
yeah,
there's
and like who's fighting for us?
We get our
Like,
funding from the state, and there's lots of issues. I'm not going to get into the discussion of a state institution compared to other states that do a much better job of funding higher ed at the state level. I'm not going to, I don't know. The percentage was about 17% of our money, I think, came from the state. and we call ourselves a state institution. 17%. So that means on the backs of students or through dollars generated in services and things like that, that's how we run the university. So it's not a matter of necessarily the board giving us more money. We get the money from the state. The University of Alabama system gets the money from the state of Alabama. Okay?
Hi, football decision today. This is nothing new. It started back our freshman year and senior now when the stadium proposal was rejected. And I know that you say that the decision today had nothing to do with the board of trustees. However, I would like to say that I think that we're kind of missing the forest for the trees in this situation. Just because as long as we're under this current board of trustees, we're always going to be treated as a second-rate institution. I think that's the truth. There's a lot of history to that, including when Richard Scrooge was on the board and the Health South scandal happened, he was gone. And so UAB lost its only representative on the board of trustees. And so our only hope now is to have some sort of state legislation to allow us to have our own board of trustees. So how is it that we can enact that process? How is it that we can write congressmen or we can support a process and kind of shape the powers that be, just because this state has 5 million people, or nearly 5 million people in it, and it has plenty amount of resources. The city has plenty amount of resources to support a third major Division I collegiate athletic program.
That situation is an Alabama Constitution situation, and again, we're not going to get into that. I mean, in midterms, term elections, I think I voted on gun legislation in Baldwin County or something. There are lots of things wrong with our Alabama Constitution that control lots of those kinds of things. And so I think that's what it takes, is contacting your representatives and expressing the fact that UAB is a political power and that you have opinions and you care. That's what I would do. So I would do the research and find out who you need to talk to.
Hey, finest moment.
You're good.
Whatever.
I just dropped you from your class.
Thank you, bro. Well, what I wanted to ask was, knowing that the state of Alabama is such a very big football state, you have football programs all over this great state. My question is, how in the world are we supposed to be competitive with these other schools, to high school students, incoming transfer students, who coming into it know they're not going to have the same type of college atmosphere that they would at another school, when it is such a huge part of the culture of this state? That's my question.
I want to start with what you said first, and then I'll answer what you said. I'd be disappointed if you weren't upset about this. I would be terribly disappointed if you weren't upset about this. I have 2 sons here. I have a junior and a freshman, and you won't believe the discussions going on in the Marsh House over the last couple of days. And this is not easy. So I'm glad you're here, that you care enough to be here. That's how I always started this, is thank you for coming. Now, I'm going to go back. The similar question was asked earlier by my fraternity gentleman. I don't have the answer to that completely. And what I've got to do is meet with my group of managers and talk some of this through. Because it's not easy. I mean, we live and run a university in Birmingham, Alabama. I understand all those. And most of our students are still from the state of Alabama, disproportionately so. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And in fact, I mean, the next conversation for me, after I talk to my managers, is probably with the director of admissions. Because he's going to be knocking on my door saying, where can you help me? because he's got goals and expectations for enrollment that he has to meet. So I don't have, I've got lots of ideas about for support of student life and programs and activities, but I'm not going to go into them here because then it sounds like I'm it's sort of like a bait and switch. And I don't want to take away from this night to do that. I think that's wrong. I don't want you to get excited about something else in the midst of something that you're upset about. I don't think that's right. Don't get me wrong.